Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ready Set Grow Show with Deb and Hillary. This week, it's yet another emotionally charged week. Let me just switch. Emotionally charged week. That's why we are a little on the late side today, but we are here nonetheless. Um, and happy to be here with you because we are talking about a skill that regardless of how much advertising you throw out there, regardless about how many blog posts, all right, and many of you know as a social media manager, I talk about that. It's like we've got to put out our content. You got to do your Facebook lives, you've got to do all your social media. Don't forget your advertising, whether it's on Facebook, Pinterest, Google, wherever. But this one skill, if you don't learn it, practice it, and become good at it, your business is going to fall flat on its face. And that's any business. We're talking specifically about the big word prospecting. And a lot of people say, oh, prospecting, that's network marketing. I dare to differ. Okay.
Yeah,
I dare to differ. It's still something that you must do. And we say basically, it's the skill of having a conversation with people.
right.
So, Deb,
Yes,
what has been
yes,
your experience? Because for me, I am coming from that generation where we were introduced to computers at a very young age, and then introduced to laptops, and then introduced to smartphones. And we are living in a society. I remember hearing somebody say that now, when they're bringing people into their business and into their communities, they have to teach the younger people how to talk to people because they're so used to just
well, they're sitting right next to each other doing this to each other. It's like, and you're going to run our country someday?
all right. So the art of actually having a conversation and speaking to people, that is something that we're going to talk about. But understand that prospecting, regardless of whether you're prospecting for a network marketing business, you're prospecting for consulting, you're prospecting for
Yeah,
a brick and mortar business, it's about having that conversation and being open and being able to just speak to people. All right, because it doesn't matter how much advertising, as one of our mentors said, it doesn't matter how much advertising you put out there. And that is a reality that, as I get older in business, I realize that it doesn't matter how much passive marketing you're doing through all of the amazing channels that we have, Facebook, Pinterest, so all the social media, you still need to do what's called the active marketing, which is prospect.
right. And yeah, and that word prospecting is scary to people.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know why, because, well, I do know why, because it was scary to me. Um, but and like Hillary said, this is kind of an emotional time for us right now because we're in a challenge, and we just had two of the most amazing master trainers. I mean, we are so blessed every day, 5 days. We get these master trainers. It's like, oh my gosh, the next one can't be any better. Oh
Better.
my gosh, yeah. But back to prospecting, and I want to tell you, um, it dawned on me last night. I was in a bit of a funk last week. Jim and I were down in Myrtle Beach, and Jim did not feel well, and I was still kind of struggling with my own cough and stuff that I've had for a little while. It just wanted to linger. No, it wasn't COVID. But anyway, I was doing. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't hit my goal at the end of the month yesterday. I didn't hit my goal. Devastated? Yeah. But you know what? Today's a new day. Today's a new month. Prospecting, like I said, last night it dawned on me. I'm listening to my mentors, and they golden tongues will say this, or this is how you do that, or whatever. And I'm like, when am I going to learn this? Well, I'm mentored by people who have been doing this for years. I've been doing it since April. And it didn't dawn on me. Yes, I've been in business for 11 years. But since April, really been mentored well into my business, into becoming an entrepreneur. And I have to tell you, it's prospecting. It's like, and I'm going to quote one of our trainers today, go out every day and get and keep customers. And that's what prospecting is. But after you use your what you think you're using your warm market, well, once you start a conversation with somebody, they're your warm market all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And it's different for me because the way I was taught with my network marketing way back at the very beginning, 11 years ago, I talked face to face. That's not hard. Well, yeah, it kind of is because when I'm first, I can only talk about myself. When I was first starting, it was all about how can I get my business in there in this conversation? How can I? No, it doesn't work that way. And even when I started in April, I couldn't believe this. Somebody called me out. I was spamming.
Yeah.
And I was so excited with what I was doing, I didn't even realize it. And oh my gosh, talk about, I think my face was probably as red as my shirt. It's like, oh, no. That's what they called me on it. And it was true. I have a little visitor this week. So his school has been closed for deep cleaning because of COVID. Okay. So anyway, talking to someone as a nurse, I talk to people all the time. And I would ask them questions. How are you feeling? Where does it hurt? Or whatever reason, whatever modality I was in, the hospital, the doctor's office, whatever. But now, particularly since COVID has hit, we aren't out doing what they call belly to belly quite so much. This is belly to belly. New belly to belly is the computer, the Zooms, and so it's different. But
it is different. Yeah.
Again, I've only been doing this since April. Why do I think I should have it mastered? Yeah, So, but one thing that we have to remember when we're prospecting, if you've not ever heard of FORM, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. FORM means family, occupation, recreation, and money. And these are, if you remember FORM, the questions will just flow. Sure. You just ask them about themselves, about what's going on in their lives, because essentially it is about them. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about them.
And I think the challenge, if I could just interject here, but I think one of the challenges that most people face with the word prospecting is that they're thinking of what's the end goal. So even, and I see it countless times with insurance agents in particular, and there's another group outside of network marketing, but definitely you see it with insurance agents. Their ultimate goal is to get you to sign a policy, and that's all they're thinking about. So when they connect with you, and they do it very badly on LinkedIn, because I'm just calling them out, right? But the reality is they're also in a sort of prospecting business as insurance agents. Real estate agents, not so much, because people come to them. People are looking for housing or whatever. But insurance agents, they're always out there and they're looking for people to sign a policy. Okay. Right. So they're they're probably the closest when it comes to like network marketers prospecting. But instead of going through exactly what you said, their form, talk about the family. How's the family? Because what tends to happen, and it's simple sales. Let's be frank, it's sales. But you've got to identify who the person is first, where they are in their life and business, and do they even need this insurance policy or need whatever it is that you're trying to sell them. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you transition into the money conversation or the business conversation, but only if they fit the buck based on your conversation before, right? Now, some people like to truncate that whole conversation into 5 minutes. I like to say that that's a little too short. All right. It's like you could start to have a conversation with somebody. And, as you said, you've been doing this since April. And when we listen to some of the master coaches, we realize if we listen really carefully, we realize that most of their conversations start maybe about 3 months ago. And they've been
Mm-hmm.
having this back and forth conversation with the person until they get to the point where they're talking business. Now, depending on the way the conversation goes, you could either jump into business sooner or later,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So,
Exactly.
mhm,
Yep. And so what is happening is you're building a relationship. And
exactly.
when you form someone, that starts that relationship. You're asking them questions. You truly are curious about these people. And part of you, a big part of you should be focused on them, but a small part of you should be focused on, is this person, do I want to work with this person? Do I want this person on my team? That shouldn't be forefront, but it's back here. But you have to build that relationship to figure that out. Are their core values the same as mine? There are people that in my young time of prospecting here, it's like I can have, like, in a sense, two conversations with them, and what happens is I'm like, ooh, things that they're saying, I'm like, oh, no, 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 no.
Mm, yeah.
Someone that I have built, this has happened to two people that I have built a relationship with for, well, one of them was since April, and the other one probably shortly after. All of a sudden, in her posts, she is posting things, and I'm not a little Miss Goody Two Shoes, and I know there are bad words out there. I don't talk like that, but all of a sudden they're putting this out on the internet, and I'm like,
Maybe
oh,
that's not
I
the
don't think
right.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah. And it's not
Um,
to say, and you see, in business, we have, and the reason we use the form family, occupation, um recreation.
Recreation.
Recreation, I always get stumped on recreation. I always think of relationship for whatever reason, anyway. But when you in your business, you have the power and the choice to be able to choose who you want to work with. And
Mhm.
in order to be able to make that choice, you have to, in a sense, do a sort of an interview. Right? And
Mhm.
the interview is this conversation that you're having back and forth, because there's some people, to let's be honest, whether you gauge their spiritual standing. All right, I'll be quite frank, I don't think I may want to do business with atheists. I'm a woman of faith. So for me to have a very close working relationship with an atheist may not jive too well with me. Now,
Right.
anybody of faith, yes, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, only people of my religion, but no, I don't think I would go so far. But you'd only know that if you are having a conversation with them and
Yeah.
understanding their background, their life, their family situation, etc. All right. And as entrepreneurs, we have that choice and we have that power to choose who we truly want to work with. All right.
Right. And if, like, I've been doing Messenger, and that was all totally new to me, but because I like to see people's eyes, there's just something about seeing their eyes as I'm talking with them. And I think because I look at their eyes, sometimes they look back at my eyes, and they're probably like, okay, what is she about, or whatever. But the nice thing that it kind of sort of happened with COVID because we all got stuck inside and could
Yes.
not get out was Zoom. It, you can see the person and you can talk with them. You can see their facial expressions and things like that, which is good. But in Messenger, just doing,
The
you
texting
can do voice messages, which is good because they can hear your voice. They
voice.
can hear the tonality in your voice. But if you're just, and I'm guilty that I do a lot of that, and I don't like it. It's not setting well with me. So I think what I have to do personally is start going with the voice messaging
The voice.
and trying to get people on Zooms so I can see them, so they can see me,
Yes.
and start a relationship.
Exactly. Yes. I totally get it. So just to recap that form, family. So you want to ask people about their family, especially if they're a long distant friend. How are they doing? Is the family growing? Do they have family? How is mom? How is dad? All those type of questions, right? Especially if you're like maybe an old school friend or whatever the case may
Be
be.
careful.
And then and then your
Sorry.
occupation, that's all right. Your occupation, where are they right now? Because their occupation, it's definitely going to let you know whether they're, entrepreneur focus, what do they want to do, all of those type of things, all right? And then you get into what are they interested, what recreation do they take part in, and then
Just a minute.
and
I
then
got I got some of the Christmas decorations out, and he's got Santa and my Nutcracker that greet people at the door,
oh,
and so he's arranged them for me.
he's
So go
arranged them.
ahead.
Very
Sorry
good. Yeah.
about that.
I know it's Christmas time, the kids are home. Yes. Right. And then finally you're able to transition once you know, okay, what do they do? What do they like? And you could have a conversation around that. The recreation part to me seems to be one of those areas that's like, woo, you could talk for hours about that. And that's where sometimes your conversation could go from 20 minutes to a couple weeks before you
Hmm.
ever introduce the subject of business of money. If you
Right.
go into these conversations, and that's I think the downfall of prospecting, when you go into the conversation um with the mindset of I have to get this, I have to get the sale. When you go into the mindset of I have to get the sale, I have to get the sale, but
Yeah.
then that's when everything comes tumbling down for you. And that's how prospecting seems to be this hard challenge, right? That's when people revert to the passive marketing.
Right, right. But it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You have to you have to connect with people.
Yeah,
Usually, it's your kids or your rooster.
I know. Usually it's my kids.
I love it. I love it.
So everyone, those who are viewing, thank you for viewing. And I hope you got, saw how we tied this in, because it's not, a lot of people think prospecting is just about network marketing. For any business person, you're prospecting, you're out there prospecting. And just what James said today, James Malchek, it really drove home to me that your business plan is going out every day and getting and keeping customers. And how you do that, there are different ways of doing that. Prospecting is one, but you've got to get out there every day,
Yeah.
get and keep customers.
Yep.
So
No matter how you do it, you've got to do it every day.
definitely.
And I just need to say something just very quickly. Um, on form, the M is money.
Yes.
Well, you're thinking, oh, I don't want to talk about money. No, you've already, in a sense, talked about it with their occupation and their recreation. Oh, so that takes money.
Yep.
Recreation takes money, whatever we're doing. And so it's not, it's an easier flow when you say, well, gosh, how do you afford that? Or you must make an awful lot of money. However you say it, don't be afraid just because the M stands for money, we all have to have money to buy groceries, to pay our
Survive.
bills. So don't be afraid of form. It's a way to grow a relationship.
Sure, definitely. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. And for those viewing, and if you're watching the replay, don't forget to drop a hashtag replay. This week we've got live challenge, but we will probably be having another live challenge pretty soon. If you want to learn more about that, we're still open for invitation. So reach out to either Deb or myself. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.